Welcome back everyone. Today we are back in the Forest of Dean and we are going to be exploring the labyrinth that is Noxon Park iron mines. So mining for iron ore in this area has commenced since the Roman times. But slightly more recently in the 1800s I believe there were separate mines owned by different people in the general area, and sometimes they may have connected up underground, sometimes not. But generally the whole area is now just more commonly known as Noxon Park. So there's several main entrances to this place, and the one I'll be going through today is called number 7, also known as Crater. I think. If I've got that wrong, I'll get shouted at by someone. Right, so the first thing we've got to do is slide down here. So we start off in this little entrance chamber with two entrances, one coming down here, and then there's another one, slightly bigger one that way, but it's quite steep, so I don't usually come down that way. As soon as you get down this bit, you get a good idea of the size of the sort of caverns that are underneath. A couple of little animal bones in the entrance bit, not uncommon to see in these sort of places. What makes these Forest of Dean iron mines quite unique is the fact that they are such a sort of cave mine hybrid. I think a lot of them did start out as caves originally, and then they've just been mined out by man over the centuries. But it's not very common as far as I'm aware. It's usually sort of cave or mine. You don't usually get a mix of both. But when you compare it to the sort of stone mines, for example, of southwest England, it's such a different feeling. And being slightly more cave-like, they are somewhat more difficult to walk around. It's annoying, sometimes the mud can be quite sticky and easy to walk through even if it's steep, but then other times it's just really slippy and quite hard. Now how far we can go in here will depend on the water levels, because this mine does flood. I am guessing the water will be quite low because we have had such a dry spring and summer over the last couple of months, so hopefully we'll be able to go a little bit further than normal. It is very cave-like as you come down here, very big, open, vast spaces, which is often uncommon to see in a mine. As we get to the lower levels, we'll hopefully see, if the water's not there, where there's more sort of man-made tunnels. Got some old artefacts here, looks like we've got the end of a shovel of some kind, and possibly the end of it. I imagine something like this, where it looks like there's one stone pillar holding up the entire roof, is enough to put some of you on edge. Cross fingers though, that isn't the case, but hopefully we won't ever have to find out either. Might look like the sort of place you'd get easily lost in, and to be fair, in some of the other parts of the mine it probably is a little bit easier to get lost, but this one's quite direct. So you go down, you can only go down so far, and that's it really. Once you reach the water level you have to come back up. Another old pot or something here, might have been the remains of an old lantern maybe. So we've got a small split here, there's another passage on behind me, we're going to go on this way, we'll have a look down there on the way back. Again, usually when I go down there it's usually a case of finding the water level quite quickly, but we'll have a look. We are actually at the point where we can start to find the dive lines as well, so this area is actually used for cave diver training. Sounds crazy, I know. You can see the dive line and then eventually that will lead to the water level. It does feel like you're coming down quite a long way, and you are obviously to some extent, but I'm not exactly sure of the exact depth I'm at the moment. Got another split here, so we've just come down from up there, and the main way on is down that way. There is also another passage down there. Again, that usually sort of leads to the water level quite quickly, but we'll have a look at that on the way back. But yeah, you can see the dive line in front of us here, so I would guess at some stage in the past the water level has been this high. I'm trying to think the highest level I've seen in here, but I don't think it was quite as high as this. So I've just come from down there, so where I am now, this is usually the typical level of the water, so the ground below me would usually be underwater at this point. But yeah, like I said, since we've had such a dry spring and summer, then I'm not surprised that the water level probably is an awful lot lower than usual. It's not very often that I get to go and actually explore these parts because, like I said, they are usually underwater, but today's a good day, so we'll go and have a look. Sometimes you can just see the water on the other edge of this little cliffy bit. Yeah, There we are. That is not the first time I've seen some flowers in this mine. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. I'm not aware of anybody dying in here at any point, but I could be wrong. But yeah, you can see the water level there. Crystal clear usually. Nice deep blue colour. But yeah, that is definitely on the lower side of the water levels in this place. Which is good, because that means there's more to see on foot. So, let's carry on down this way. And this is where we start to find some of the more man-made looking tunnels in this place. Originally I imagine these would have connected to the other parts of the mine, but I don't think you can get through at the moment. I think they are blocked off. So you've got a small nice example here of some of the man-made walls that they would have made out of the deads, i.e. the bits of rock that were basically of no use. More sort of big open areas up over here. I haven't explored over there much, to be honest, because usually, like I said, you can't really come through to this area because usually this entire passage would be underwater. Got a few break-offs now where we could go in different directions. There's a little door down there. I'll have a look through there in a sec. I just want to get to the end of the main passage and see where this ends up. I think it's just a dead end, but I'll have to go and double check. Yeah, so as you can see, there's definitely a collapse here. We can go around and it looks like we can go back down the other way. But yeah, up there, that's definitely fallen in, so it's quite possible that that tunnel continued and went into other areas of the mine, but for now, that is all just a big pile of unmovable rocks. Yep, so we've reached the water level again. I think you can just about make out, if I put my spotlight on maybe, you can just about make out some sort of like iron bars over there where my light is under the water. But when you do get a really deep section, you can see meters and meters down. It's really, really clear. Obviously the water is just completely untouched down here. Well, unfortunately I'm not wearing my wetsuit today, so I'm not going to be going for a swim, but maybe I could do that at some point. So we've gone back on ourselves slightly, so there's the water level and there's the little doorway that I saw earlier. So we've just kind of done a bit of a U-turn so we can go back out up here. A little hobbit door. And back out onto the level. We'll go back up here and have a look down the other little turning that we saw earlier, because I want to see how far I can get down that way. Down this way, following the dive line. Small little tunnel here. This looks very quite neatly carved out. And again, I'm definitely not able to usually come in this far. Usually when I come down that little tunnel, I get stopped by the water level, but so far, no water at all. It is really, really dry. All good so far, no blockages. Ah, spoke too soon there. Looks like we have got another collapse. Yeah, definitely looks like that's just fallen in. I imagine the passage would go on the other side, so don't know how far. May not be the case, may just be an actual genuine dead end, but I'm not sure. There's not really many surveys of this place, so it's a bit hard to tell where everything connects up to underground. I've just been setting up my camera for the thumbnail, and you do get the odd like eerie sound in the background that doesn't sound like just a rock falling or a drip of water. It's slightly off-putting. So I'm just back down at the main water level now. I can see looking through there that it does sort of go on into a more open space, so potentially maybe if I pack up my wetsuit and life jacket, I could take a little bob out into the water and have a look through that tunnel over there. I have done that before in this place. I can see the dive line comes from up there and does go on down that way, so I'm guessing it leads into some sort of good size extension. I'd really love to know what these flowers are about behind me, because it's not the first time I've seen them in this mine. Last time I came in here was quite a while ago, so it's definitely not the same pair of, well, same set of flowers. They are real flowers, so I mean, unless some plant expert can tell me that flowers can survive for months and months on end underground, maybe, I don't know. It would make sense if they sort of been picked up by the water and then taken back along with the water level, but would flowers survive in water? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not Monty Don or anything, but if any of you are, then do correct me. But as far as I'm aware, it just seems a little bit, it just seems a bit odd. In all of my time of caving and exploring mines, I have never come down to find a pair of sunflowers. Or a trio of sunflowers, I think there's 3 there. I almost missed this bit. This is another little weird thing I found in this mine. It's almost like some kind of Buddhist shrine. There's like a little statue. I'm saying Buddhist in a bit of a generalization. I'm not really sure what it is, but there's a little pot and some pebbles and stones and a little statue. It's a little bit weird. I don't know who comes down here to set this sort of thing up. Well, that is the end of this one small section, and I say small section because this mine in its entirety is absolutely massive. There are countless tunnels and passages, and when we go into some of the other sections, the other entrances, they're much more, even much more labyrinth-like than this one, I would say. And hopefully we'll be able to do a through trip, so we'll go in one entrance and we'll come out of another one. But generally you've almost got like 3 sections which you can explore. You've got the one we're in now, you've got the sort of middle section, and then you've got the other end of the forest, that section over there. Right, time to ascend back up to the surface. Definitely a decent leg workout. So I'm back by the entrance chamber now, and I can smell the fresh breeze of woodland air coming in. Also sounds like it's raining outside, so might get a bit wet on the way back to the car. Well, thank you for joining me on this one, folks. I will catch you in part 2, where we will go and explore the other areas of Noxon Park Mine.